I'm looking at how you can achieve successful, sustainable business transformation. Now, you may be thinking you have a lot of work to do, and you're thinking, okay, if I'm going to achieve transformation, I don't know what I've got to do, I don't know how I'm going to do it, I don't know when I'm going to get the time. How do I do it? Now, originally, when I was in the Royal Air Force, we would get a new boss would come in, and part of one of their mandates was to change something. So they would go, well, they wouldn't go away, they would actually sort of spend a while figuring out what to do, and they basically impose a change upon us. We would be told, you've now got to change doing X, Y, Z. And effectively, because it was military and he was a higher rank than us, we had to do it. Now, what happened there is we would kind of do what they wanted for about 2 to 3 weeks and then slide back into what we were doing before anyway. He, because he'd done a change initially, have his bosses look at what he was doing or she was doing in that first week or so and say, yes, you've achieved a change, and then they would have their career progression boxes ticked. They would then, after a couple of years, they would move on, a new one would come in, and the cycle would repeat itself. Now, obviously, that isn't sustainable change. It's probably not a smart way of doing it. Later on in my Air Force career, we decided to, well, not we decided, it was decided we would adopt a different approach. And that was to achieve lean transformation, and we had some assistance through consultants and sort of thing. People were put in roles. I was put in a role of facilitating change, and the way it worked was different because what we did was decide there's an area, whether it's a process or a function or a whole section, it needed to change, and it say it would need to change by output would have to be increased by 20%. Say that would be the goal, and then you get a team of people who work in the area. In fact, we adopted an interesting system. It was a customer of a process or area, a supplier of process or area, two subject matter experts, and two wildcards who had nothing to do with that work area, and they would be put into it to do the change. Now, obviously, you ain't going to know what to do straight away, so there had to be some sort of research involved in it. So these guys were employed full time to a time frame to understand the system, come up with a change, and put it in place. Now, what we had then was a system that worked. You generally got between 20 and 30% improvement each time, and it was also an improvement that would stick. Now, from the lean perspective, one of the wastes is, we call it people. It's not the people are waste, but it's how we utilise people can be a waste, because people are rich and diverse, and come from different backgrounds. Also, outside of work, they have interests and hobbies that may be nothing to do with work, often in a lot of cases. I've known of people that have come in at a relatively low level into a business and find out that all their spare time they program computers. I know there are people that strip down and rebuild cars. I know there are people that are incredibly artistic. They can draw, paint, even sculpt, and it's all fantastic, because ultimately, in the modern age, to succeed, you need to be creative, and you need to tap into the creativeness of the people that work with you. So if you're in a business, you need something to improve. Maybe its productivity needs to improve. Maybe its capacity. Maybe its quality. You might not know what the answer is. So the best way of doing that is to utilise the people that do the work. What you can do with them is state what the aim is. So here's what we need to be doing. We're performing at this level. I need you to perform at this level. And set them to within a time frame to come up with a solution. And what you'll do there is those people will, because they're involved in the work, they already know a lot of the issues around it. They'll understand the why the need to change. They'll understand the intricacies of how the work's done and all the sub processes and everything else that kind of goes wrong for them on a daily basis. And then what they can do, and bear in mind in my early days of doing this sort of thing in the Royal Air Force, we had zero budget, and we still got 20 to 30% improvement on zero budget. So that's awesome, and it can be achieved. So you get your people, once they understand all the problems and everything that they've got, everything they're working with, if they can come up with a solution, present that to you as an owner or as a boss, and justify why their new way of working is going to work, they'll just leave you in a position where you can sort of say, okay, that looks like it's going to work, let's change. Now, usually for any sustainable change, it needs to be a physical change as well. So not only those people figure out what the problems are and what needs to be done about it, they can be involved in implementing that change. Now, because they're already in the work area, they're already friends, what a better description, with the people they work with, they're already going to be selling that notion of why the change needs to happen and then what needs to get done. So there's very little persuasion from your point of view, or from your perspective of getting that change into place. Now, initially, people might need guidance, or at least daily updates. You're going to need daily updates as to what they've done and what they're going to be doing, because you don't want them to waste their time. And then when you get better at it, they don't need as much guidance, which is what happened with me. Now, those people, they've implemented the change, they'll own it, you should celebrate their success, they'll feel proud of what they've done, and they'll move forward with it. And then not only that, they'll solve the unknowable problems that occur every time you do make a change or a transformation. Because it always takes some time to bed in a change afterwards, and then they'll just fix those issues, or at least not be afraid to bring them to attention. And that's a fantastic way to go. So feel free to leave a comment on your experience of achieving transformation, or being involved in it, or even trying to involve people in transforming things. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.